Hey guys, it's Derrick here with On the Horizon, and this week we're going to be doing a follow-up video to a video that we released a couple weeks ago where we ballistic gel tested all the factory ammunition from Hornady on the 22 Creedmoor, obviously. And so what we did is we actually went to Walmart. We bought these kind of big cake pans, or I don't know what you want to call them, little tin pans, as well as a bunch of ballistics gel. And at my first time ever, we cooked up our own ballistics gel. Now, we decided to leave them in these pans so that they wouldn't jump off the table as we shot the projectiles. Now, we had a lot of comments from that video, which is what I want to address today. You know, a couple comments: no, I didn't have a tape measure with me. You know, what bullet would I recommend for certain things based on what we saw? So what I wanted to do today is show you the ballistics gel. We're going to measure the different wound channels and things so you can see this in detail. And then I'm going to try and actually cut out whatever is left of the projectile so I can show you what each bullet actually did. So this pan over here to my right, this is actually the 65 grain CX here on the top. And then on the bottom is the 69 grain ELD-VT. So let's talk about the 65 grain CX. So I have not personally been able to shoot an animal with a 65 yet, so I don't want to recommend one thing or the other. I will tell you that the penetration on this copper bullet is impressive. So if you look on the side, we'll show you here in just a second, you can see in the video, the small piece of this projectile actually exited the entire pan. This pan is 21 inches. And so what I can measure, obviously I don't know how far that went, again 21 inches. The entrance wound channel size here is about 3.5 inches. So one thing on the CX, you notice it has a really nice tight spiral shape where you can see the bullet penetrated really well. So obviously in the states like California where you have to use copper projectiles, 65 gives you something you can go after. I think this bullet would actually be a really good deer projectile. Obviously I haven't got a chance to do it personally, so I can't exactly recommend it, but penetration wise I think it'd be really good there. I am a little cautious about it from a coyote perspective. Do I think it would get the job done? Yes. Doesn't quite have that initial pop that I like with the 22 Creedmoor in my coyote projectiles. All right, so moving on. 69 grain VT. You can see here, and we'll dig this out at the end of the video, but this is the projectile still, the 69 grain. So coming through the 10, I know we got a lot of people saying, oh, you're shooting through a 10 bucket, and I reference it like, hide or like bone. No, it's not as hard as or thick as bone you would see in a deer. Yes, it's different material than hide. Obviously, it made for a much easier shooting video here. But let's see, on the ELD-VT, we have a 10-inch wound or 10-inch distance travel. I can still see the projectile, which we'll pull out at the very end, and the width is about 4.25 inches. And it really does that over the first 6 inches, which is what I think is really neat about this projectile. A lot of guys were running the 62 grain ELD-VTs, which were initially designed for the 22 ARC. And obviously we went back, Hornady did a great job designing a fast projectile for varmint hunters, specific with the 22 Creedmoor. Because if you think about the size of a coyote, or you think about the size of a fox or a bobcat, you want to drop all that energy in a quick amount of space. So again, you're dropping everything in the first 6 inches. You got about 4 inches wide, and you're still making it through the animal with about a 10-inch penetration. So really, really good varmint bullet. Highly recommend it for that. On deer, I've not shot one with deer. It's a little more of a frangible bullet than I would want to do with deer. Not that you couldn't, I've seen some people do it already, but I would definitely try and stay out of the bone with that projectile on anything heavier than varmints. All right, now rolling over here to the 80 grain ELD-X and the ELD-M. Now, these were the first ones we did in the video. I want to say we were not very smart about how we shot the pans. It's the first time we've ever done this. On this pan, you can see I shot them in opposing directions, which made it really easy to see the wound channel. So in the 80s, it's quite a bit messier. So this top projectile here is going to be the match grade ammo. So the match grain 80, you can still see the projectile in here. It's not near as big as the X, but we've got about 11 inches worth of penetration, and kind of hard to tell because it's a big mess here, but about, I'm gonna say 4.5 to 5 inches worth of wound channel width, and that match grade bullet kind of carries it around 6 inches. So I have shot a lot of antelope and a lot of deer, whitetail, with the match grade bullet. I really like the match grade bullet. You know, one thing that we say, and I think this gel shows it really, really well, is that a lot of times for me, inside of 300 yards, the match grade or the X perform virtually the same. Where I see the big difference is past 300 yards, the match grade bullet's still pretty explosive, where the X bullet tends to penetrate and act more like a regular projectile. So for me, when I'm coyote hunting, I like to use the match grade projectile. When I know I'm gonna be deer hunting, I like to use the X projectile. That's just personal choice. But you can see both of these being, or all of these being shot at 100 yards, you can see exactly what we're talking about. Very close performance with the X. So the X, we've got 14 or 13, I think, call it 13.5 inches worth of penetration. So, you know, about 3 inches more than the match grade projectile. From a wound channel size, virtually the same. So 5 inches wide by about 7 inches long. Again, when you look at this up close, you can see they look a lot alike, but a big piece of the projectile still here in match grade, or sorry, still here in the ELD-X. So that's kind of what I think. I would use the X for any kind of big game hunting wise. If I was doing some crossover, whitetail, antelope, maybe the match grade. You know, if I'm in California or somewhere that has to have copper, go with a 65. Those things are fast. And if I'm doing straight varmint hunting this year in your contest, especially like your West Texas Vic Bobcat contest, run that 69 in the 22 Creedmoor. So what I'm gonna do now here is I'm gonna flop these over and I'm gonna pull out the projectiles. So we may speed the clip up here because it takes a little bit to get these out. So there is what is left of the 69 grain VT. Not a lot of weight retention there, but it's a pretty small bullet anyhow. You can see the back lead core there, which is kind of cool on those VTs. It's sort of a progressive varmint bullet, neat design. But there's that one. So we're gonna roll over here and I'm gonna pull out the match grade 80 grain first, but it is way down in here. So here is the match grade 80. What's crazy about this is you can tell it's a little bit heavier, not a lot heavier. Looks virtually like the 69 grain. What's interesting about the match grade, and you can see it if you look really close, the CX a little bit, a lot with the ELD-VT, and a lot with the match. There are tiny little fragments of projectiles everywhere that come from that match when it sheds the projectile here. So now I'm gonna do the 80 grain X. All right, so there is the 80 grain X projectile. What's really funny or kind of interesting about this, pretty much the same projectile as the match. Got about half the height that's still in it. And you know, I can't feel that much weight difference between the two. Obviously, we're gonna need a really light scale to be able to tell those. But the X, you can see we're obviously held together quite a bit more. You got your match grade and your 69, somewhere in the world, your 65. But guys, that is the ballistics gel test for the 22 Creedmoor. Be sure and ask us any questions below you've got in the comments, like and subscribe, and let us know what else you would like to see us test here on the channel, or who you'd like to see us interview on our On the Horizon podcast. Guys, we appreciate it. Till next time, we'll catch you later. All right, so we figure you would ask, so we're gonna go ahead and weigh each of the projectiles after shooting them through gel. Doesn't go to grain, so we're gonna do the conversion here for you. This is the 69 grain, and we are left with 1.89 grams. So we're gonna check that, we'll convert those over. On the 80 grain ELD-M, get some of that projectile stuff out. 80 grain ELD-M, we are at 2.15 grams. In the 80 grain X, 2.58 grams. So we're gonna do those conversions, and here's what you got for grain. All right, so we converted them for you here. This is what we've got. The ELD-VT coming in at 29.167 grains. The ELD-M, 33.18 grains. Coming in the heaviest, the ELD-X at 39.815 grains. And that's what you've got for your weight retention coming through Ballistic's gel on the 22 Creedmoor.